Hi, it's Dana with the Arts Partnership. Um, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on some things that the Arts Partnership are thinking about and things that the Arts Partnership is thinking about. And it involves some things around COVID and opening up, and then it also involves some things around race and privilege. And I'm not speaking on behalf of the board of directors. I'm really speaking on behalf of the work that I have been thinking through and learning about in these past couple of weeks and really over these past series of months. And the direction that we are going to really make concerted efforts to move. I think it's one thing to talk about, being more racially diverse and seeking out artists of color and creating opportunities for non-traditional art forms and all of that. It's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to do it. And the time of talking needs to be over if that's where it ends. The time of talking needs to continue if it leads to action. And so I want to let you know that at the end of this month, June 30th at 5:30 will be our annual meeting. More information will be coming out about that. But at that time, we are going to announce our new slate of board members. We've got two, hopefully three new board members coming on who are coming from other cultural landscapes, other racial landscapes than being white, who have lived in this community for some of them a number of years, one of them a relatively short period of time, but all three who are highly qualified to come and serve on the board of directors of the Arts Partnership, meaning we found people, we intentionally sought out leaders of color who also are leaders in the art sector or leaders in sectors that intersect with the arts. So I want to say that it's going to look a little convenient that this is coming about now. This is my 10th board we are building, and we have never had a person of color on our board. And I don't have anything to say about that. It wasn't intentional, but that's not good enough. So we have had a couple of these people on a list for a couple of years, and the timing just happened to be right. And if it is convenient in light of the global conversation happening about race, then you can choose to look at it that way. I'm not going to defend or refute that. I'm going to tell you how excited I am to be bringing on leaders who I know will represent their perspective from a different perspective, who will not speak for everyone who's not white any more than I can speak for all women or all artists or all nonprofits or anything else. None of us can do that. We can each only bring our perspective from how we've moved through the world. But I'm really delighted to think about the start of being able to have questions asked and have conversations take different paths because people coming with different perspectives will be at the table. So that's one thing that I want to talk about. Another thing I want to talk about is just the intention that the Arts Partnership is going to make, the imperative that we are going to put on ourselves to do a much better job of reaching out, seeking to find, seeking to engage, seeking to welcome artists of color, artists of different experiences. We have always worked at that, but we haven't always prioritized it. And my promise to you going forward is that we're going to prioritize it. It's beyond time that this happen, and we can do this, and so we're going to. And then I'm going to ask for something that I feel a little bit uncomfortable asking for, but I'm going to anyway. I'm going to ask for some grace, because what I know from all of the reading that I have been doing, particularly in these past 2 weeks around the arts and race, is that lots of times well-meaning white leaders do it wrong, really wrong. You can go back and look at articles and be astonished at how wrong these well-meaning leaders went. And I know that I am not immune to that. I know that I am a person with limited experience in race experience. So we are going to try to do the best that we can. And we are going to approach every conversation, every program, every strategic and tactical plan that we make with a new lens of thinking about racial equity. And we're going to approach all of that understanding that sometimes we're going to misstep or overlook or think we're being helpful when we are not being helpful. So I'm asking that the community help keep us honest, help keep us on this course of action. Again, it's easy to talk about it. We all know we need to do more. Talking and action are two really different things. So we're gonna do everything that we can to be a better, more equitable organization. Understanding that we are going to make mistakes along the way, and some of them will be obvious when we look back. And I think we have to just lean into that. It's not, maybe unlike parenting, you don't exactly know what you're doing as a parent, and you might get to a point where you think, oh, I figured that out, and then guess what? The dynamic changes, or the temperament of the child changes, or something comes in and disrupts the balance. And then you realize you are back to square one. I expect that we're going to spend a lot of time going back to square one. And I have decided that back to square one is exactly where I need to go. I need to do more listening. I need to do more seeking out. I need to do more learning, and I need to do less talking. So that's the promise that we are going to make going forward. And we will start to create some language around it so that it is clear and evident in our charter that this is a piece of who the Arts Partnership is, and that we take it as seriously as we take everything else that we do. So then the next thing that I want to talk about is the outcome of COVID. So, things are starting to open up, which is a little bit scary and a little bit good and absolutely necessary, because we can't save lives to come back to everything being destroyed. I guess. I mean, I'm not an economist, I'm not an epidemiologist, and nobody cares what I think. So who cares what I think? But you will notice that the performing arts largely are not back. There are a few little pockets who are carefully coming back. FMCT is offering some classes. Red River Dance is offering some classes. Camaria Ballet is about to open and is offering some classes, but people are being very careful in terms of performing arts. And the visual arts are coming back slowly, but it could be months to years before we are in a position where 900 people gather for a performance, or 500 people gather for an art opening. It could be months to years for that. So my request to you, because the last couple of Tappy hours have not involved this question, or this request. My request of you today is, if you were a supporter of arts organizations in the past and you haven't been supporting them because you weren't invited to the gala or the spring fundraiser, or you didn't buy the tickets, or those kinds of things that are a natural reminder to support the places where you gather and where you are entertained and moved and enlightened and challenged, and all of the great things that our arts organizations do. If you haven't done that through this spring period of social isolation and you have the capacity, please, 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 please send money to the arts nonprofits that have been so meaningful to you before COVID, during this time, and that we absolutely need to be ready to go for these slow transitional openings, and then to gear up for whatever the new normal looks like. It's about sending what you can, but also just reaching out where you can. This has been a really lonely time for the arts sector because we depend on you to be with us and in our seats and cheering us on and celebrating and purchasing the arts. So please find some arts nonprofits to support if you haven't done that for a while, and give what you can. Artists are all pretty darn good at social media, pretty much have websites, pretty much would be happy to do some kind of virtual tour of their art. If you're in a position to be purchasing art, it's another sector that really has taken a beating because the galleries and the museums are not exhibiting their work because they're not open, haven't been open. People aren't stopping by individual studios. It's been a tough time. And then, of course, most of the summer craft fair, art fair season has been canceled. So for artists who bank on the summer months to carry them through the long winter months, there is no summer to carry them through. So if you have artists who you are particularly keen on, and you've got a little wall space that you think needs something new, please also reach out to them. It makes a difference. And if you are thinking, well, I'd love to do something, but I don't know what to do, reach out to me, and you and I'll have a conversation, and I'll direct you in down the right path. So I'm just Dana, D-A-Y-N-A, at theartspartnership.net. Go ahead and reach out. I'll have any number of conversations with you to help connect you to the arts organization and or the artists who you should be meeting with and supporting however you can. I think that's what I wanted to say to you this week, but I decided to talk it to you instead of write it to you. We're going to do better. That's our promise to ourselves and to this community. We're going to intentionally seek out much more racial equity. It's way, way, way beyond time that we stop living in our comfortable little bubble and we figure out how to do this better, again, knowing that we're going to make mistakes along the way. So if you're interested in doing this work with us, I think there's plenty of places for us to invite people to hook into this, to come and ask hard questions, have hard conversations, feel uncomfortable. To quote Chelsea Ewan, our former communications coordinator, to get a little bit sweaty. A little bit sweaty is not a bad place to be, because if you're not uncomfortable, you're probably not learning, you're probably not growing. And I want to learn and grow, and I invite you to do that with us. So we will be unveiling some new initiatives that we're going to be working on shortly. Within the next couple of weeks, we'll start to talk about them as we get them a little bit more fleshed out. But if this is of interest to you, keep watching my content and pay attention. Send me an email and let me know that you're open for rolling up your sleeves and doing some work. And that's for white citizens of Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo, people of Indigenous and other color sectors. See, it's probably my first big mistake right there. This new phrase, BIPOC, is a new acronym standing for Black and Indigenous people of color. So we need to be reaching out to everybody. All right, I'm going to sign off before I open my mouth and insert any more of my foot. I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope that you are ready to get in and do some of this work with us. And I also hope that you are ready to send off checks or PayPal donations or stock or whatever it is you think you can do for the nonprofit arts sector and the artists in this community. You know how important they are. You know what they've meant to you in the past and during this time. Let them know how much they've mattered too. Have an excellent weekend. I'll talk to you soon.